Let me ask you something personal, and I want you to answer it just to yourself. When was the last time you woke up and actually felt good, clear-headed, steady on your feet, like your body was on your side? If you had to stop and think about that, and the answer was longer ago than you would like to admit, then you are exactly the woman I made this for, and I want you to stay with me right to the end, because I care what happens to you. Here is what I have come to believe after years of watching how women age, and it surprised me the first time I understood it. The things that quietly steal the most years from a woman after 60 are almost never the dramatic ones. They are ordinary. They are the habits you would never think to worry about. The ones that feel completely harmless, the ones nobody at a rushed appointment ever stops to warn you about. And that is exactly why they are so dangerous, because they hide in plain sight and they do their damage in silence. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Dorothy. She is 71, and by every measure she thought she was doing fine. She took her pills, she saw her doctor once a year, she kept the house running and the grandchildren fed, and everyone else looked after. But she kept telling anyone who would listen that she just felt off. Tired in a way that sleep did not ever fix, foggy in the afternoons, slower than she used to be. And when she finally started paying attention to 5 small daily habits, not one of them a diagnosis, not one of them a prescription, everything started to make sense. Because the habits that steal the most years are the quiet ones, and Dorothy had been living with all 5 without ever once being told to look. So today I am going to walk you through those same 5 habits, counted down from 5 to 1, and I promise you the number 1 habit is going to catch you completely off guard. Most people assume the worst one on this list is alcohol. Alcohol does not even make the top 3. It comes in at number 5, and even that one is not dangerous for the reason most women think. Let me start there. Coming in at number 5, alcohol. Now before you roll your eyes and tell me you have heard this 100 times, stay with me, because the real danger is not the one you have been warned about. It is not the daily glass of wine with dinner on its own. It is something almost no one ever bothers to explain to women, which is that your body handles that glass of wine very differently than a man's body does, and very differently than your own body did at 40. Here's the part that matters, and I want you to really hear it, because it is your body we are talking about. A woman carries less water in her body than a man of the same size, and alcohol spreads out into water. So picture pouring the very same drink into a smaller glass of water. It comes out stronger every single time. That is what happens inside you. On top of that, women make less of the stomach enzyme that breaks alcohol down before it ever reaches the blood. And that is not folklore. That was shown in the New England Journal of Medicine years ago. So more of what you drink reaches your bloodstream and it lingers there longer, which is exactly why so many women over 60 tell me the same thing, that 2 glasses now feel like 4, that a couple of drinks leave them foggy the next morning in a way they never used to. And age only turns that dial further. The years pass, your body holds even less water, your liver slows down, and the same drink you handled easily at 45 quietly doubles its punch at 70. This is not about willpower, and it is not about shame, and you will never hear shame from me. It is about a rule book that changed on you, and nobody handed you the new copy. There are 2 more things I would be failing you if I did not say plainly. The first is medication. If you are over 60, chances are you take at least 1 prescription, and a great many of the common ones, blood pressure pills, sleep aids, certain pain relievers, even ordinary cough syrup, do not mix with alcohol at all, and that combination lands women in the hospital every single day. The second is harder to say, but you deserve the truth, and almost no one is telling you. Even modest drinking is linked to a higher risk of breast cancer. That link is real enough that the cancer researchers class alcohol as a cause, not a maybe. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you because a woman who knows this gets to make her own choice with her eyes wide open, and that is your right. So what do you actually do? You do not need to quit, and you do not need to feel guilty. You give your liver a couple of alcohol-free days each week. You slow down when you do drink. You never use a nightcap to fall asleep because it wrecks the back half of your night. And here is the important one. You sit down with whoever manages your prescriptions and you ask one plain question. You ask, does anything I take interact with alcohol? That single question has saved more evenings and more falls than I can count. And if you want that exact question written out for you, along with the other sentences that actually get a rushed doctor to slow down and listen, that is one of the pages in the companion guide I put together, and you will see a small square code appear on your screen throughout this video. You can scan it whenever you like, and it takes you straight to the guide. It does not replace your doctor, it just helps you walk in prepared and walk out understanding. That conversation is yours to have, and it is free. Remember that, because alcohol is only number 5. The next one is more dangerous, and it walks into a woman's life wearing a disguise. Number 4 is chronic stress, and it ranks higher than alcohol for a reason most people never stop to consider. I do not mean the stress of a single hard day. Every one of us can survive a hard day. I mean the stress that becomes the background hum of your whole life, the worry that never fully switches off, the pressure you have simply gotten used to carrying. And I want to say this straight to the women watching, because you carry a particular kind of it. So many of you are still the one holding the entire family together, the one everyone calls, the one caring for a husband or a sister or a grandchild, while quietly running on empty yourself. That constant, invisible load is exactly the kind of stress that grinds the body down. Here is what is happening on the inside. When stress becomes constant, your body keeps pumping out a hormone called cortisol, and a short burst of cortisol is actually good for you. It is what gets you through a real emergency. The trouble starts when the tap never shuts off. Over time, that flood of cortisol tightens your blood vessels, it makes your blood pressure harder to control, it drives your blood sugar up, it wears down your immune system, and it quietly robs you of good sleep even on the nights you are in bed for 8 full hours. The machine keeps running, but it is grinding itself apart from the inside, and you feel it as that nagging sense that something is just not right. This is the damage nobody ever writes a prescription for, and that is exactly why it goes unpaid for years. And here is the part that makes it worse for our generation of women. So many of you were raised to put yourself last, to never make a fuss, to keep going no matter how you felt, to be the strong one who never complains. So the pressure just builds with no release valve, year after year, and it does not arrive as one dramatic moment. It arrives as a slow, quiet theft of the years you were counting on spending with the people you love. But chronic stress has a real weakness, and this is the good news I want you to hold on to. You do not have to fix your whole life to start turning it around. A real walk outside, an honest conversation with someone who knows you, 1 hour a week that belongs to you and no one else, these are not luxuries, and they are not selfish. They are medicine, and your nervous system answers them faster than you would ever expect. Give your body permission to come down out of that constant alarm, and it knows exactly what to do next. And please hear me on this. Taking that hour for yourself is not taking it from anyone. A woman who is running on empty has nothing left to pour. Now stop for a second and think about which of these 5 you already recognize in your own week. Because that habit of naming what you are carrying and deciding calmly what actually needs attention and what does not. That is the whole idea behind the simplest tool in the guide, a single card that sorts anything you are worried about into 3 plain buckets. Call now, look at soon, or probably find for years. That small square code on your screen will take you to it whenever you are ready. It will not diagnose you. Nothing can do that but a real exam. It just keeps you from lying awake, turning a harmless worry into a catastrophe, or worse, waving off the one thing that deserved a phone call. Because stress is only number 4. What comes next hides in plain sight, and it is quietly stealing years from women who look perfectly fine. Number 3 is loneliness. And I know that word can sound soft, almost too gentle to belong on a list about your health. So let me be very clear about what the research actually shows, because it is not gentle at all. A major review that pooled together studies of hundreds of thousands of people found that being cut off from other people carries a real, measurable risk of dying earlier, on the level of risks we all take seriously. That is not a poem about feeling blue. That is years off your life. And here is why I have to say this to women in particular. Because women live longer, and because women so often outlive a husband, this is more your risk than anyone else's. Look at the plain numbers. Roughly 1 in 3 women over 65 lives alone, and past 75 it climbs toward 1 in 2. This is not some small corner of our audience. For a great many of you, this is simply your life now. And here is the part that should stop you cold. Your body cannot tell the difference between being alone and being in danger. It treats them as the same thing. In your younger years, your life was full. Work, neighbors, a busy house, children underfoot. Then the years pass. The children move away, friends move or pass on, and one ordinary morning a woman looks up and her whole world has narrowed down to one or two people, sometimes to no one she can really be honest with. Your body reads that quiet as a threat, and it never lowers its guard. And that alarm does real work inside you. It pushes up inflammation, it makes blood pressure harder to manage, it wears on an immune system that is already weaker than it was at 40. Loneliness leaves no bruise you can point to, there is no scan that catches it, and that is exactly why it gets waved off while it does its damage. Now hear me on this too, being lonely does not mean living alone. Plenty of women live alone and feel deeply connected, and plenty of women sit at a full dinner table feeling like no one truly knows what they are carrying. The good news is that your body answers connection almost as fast as it answers the lack of it. One phone call to an old friend, one standing coffee on a Saturday, one group where people notice when you do not show up, one church pew where someone saves you a seat. It does not have to be grand, it only has to be real. And if this is the one that hit closest to home, please hear me, this is not a weakness in you, and it is nothing to be ashamed of. It is one of the most common and most overlooked things I see in women your age, and it is also one of the most fixable. So promise me you will make the call you have been putting off. Because loneliness is only number 3. The next habit outranks it, and it is one most women treat as completely harmless. Number 2 is not getting enough sleep. And I genuinely wish more women over 60 took this one seriously, because you were very likely shortchanged on sleep for decades and told that was normal. Somewhere along the way, sleep got treated like a bonus, the first thing we give away the moment someone else needs something. One more load of laundry, one more worry turned over at 2 in the morning, a couple fewer hours, no big deal. Your body could not disagree more strongly. Here is why. Sleep is not you doing nothing. Sleep is the window when your body does its most important repair work, clearing waste out of the brain, steadying your blood pressure, resetting the hormones that run your hunger and your stress and your blood sugar. Cut that window short night after night, and your heart and your organs are forced to keep working right through the hours meant for repair. Blood pressure never fully comes down, blood sugar gets harder to hold steady, and your defenses take a real hit after even one bad night. And there is a piece of this that is uniquely a woman's burden. So let me name it out loud. When the change of life arrives, and in the years that follow, sleep often falls apart. The hot flashes, the waking at 3 and never getting back down, the mornings you drag yourself out of bed already exhausted. Far too many women are simply told to put up with it. You do not have to accept broken sleep in silence, because protecting your sleep is protecting your heart and your mind, and you are worth that protection. There is also a version of this that is genuinely dangerous and gets brushed off far too easily. If you sleep the hours but still wake up worn out, if you snore heavily, if anyone has ever told you that you gasp or stop breathing in the night, that is not just aging, and it is not just a nuisance. That can be a real, treatable problem that quietly strains the heart, and it is worth a straight conversation with your doctor, not another cup of coffee to cover it up. The encouraging part is how fast this one turns around. After just 2 or 3 nights of real solid sleep, 7 to 8 hours, women tell me their blood pressure settles, their focus sharpens, their mood steadies, their energy comes back. So here's what actually helps, and none of it is complicated. Keep the same bedtime, even on weekends. Put the phone down at least an hour before you lie down. Keep the room cool and dark and quiet, and cut the caffeine after early afternoon, because that innocent afternoon cup lingers far longer than you think. Small changes, and they add up fast. Which brings us to number 1. And I will be honest with you, in all my years of doing this, the habit that steals the most good years from a woman is not the one anyone expects. It is not a disease with a frightening name. It is something so ordinary, you are very likely doing it at this exact moment. It is sitting. Just sitting still, too long, without moving. I know how that sounds, almost too simple to take seriously, That is precisely why it slips right past everyone. When you sit still for a long stretch, the biggest muscles in your body, the ones in your legs, essentially switch off. Circulation slows, blood pools in your lower legs, and your body's ability to handle blood sugar and clear fat out of the blood drops while you sit. Do that hour after hour, day after day, and the research is fairly clear that long, unbroken sitting is tied to a higher risk of heart trouble and earlier decline. And there is a reason this one hits a woman even harder, and this is the part one would beg you to take to heart. After the change of life, women lose bone and muscle faster than men do. That is why a fall is so much more serious for us, and why a broken hip can quietly end a woman's independence for good. Let me say that plainly because no one else will. A broken hip is not a bruise you shake off at our age. For far too many women, it turns out to be the last day they ever lived on their own. Movement is what holds that line. Every time you stand up and use those legs, you are protecting the very strength that keeps the stairs yours, that keeps you in your own home, that keeps you from having to depend on anyone. And here's the piece I most want you to hold on to, because it is the part that hands the power straight back to you. The strongest signal in all of this research is not really about women who sit a lot. It is about women who sit a lot and never move. Break up that sitting, stay on your feet, and the risk drops dramatically. The danger was never the chair. The danger is the stillness, and that is the whole reveal, the thread that ties all 5 of these together. The clock on your independence is not run down by one big dramatic event. It is run down or protected by the small, ordinary choices you repeat every single day. Dorothy did not need a new diagnosis, and she did not need a miracle. She needed to interrupt the stillness. She started standing up every half hour and moving for 2 minutes, walking after supper, taking her phone calls on her feet, choosing the stairs when she safely could. And within weeks, the fog began to lift. You stand up, and your body starts to come back. That is not a motivational line. That is your own body, and it starts the moment you rise. That is the one change I would beg every woman over 60 to make, and it costs you nothing. You do not need a gym. You do not need a trainer. You do not need to do a single thing you could not do this morning. You just need to interrupt the stillness a little, often. And if getting up and moving safely is the hard part, if your balance or your strength is what keeps you in the chair, that is worth solving head on. And it is one of the pieces I built into the companion guide, a simple set of chair-based moves made for women your age, and a tracker to watch your own progress, right alongside the plain language sheet for talking any of this over with your doctor. That small square code is on your screen now, and you can scan it whenever you like. It organizes everything we covered today, but the change itself, standing up, moving a little more, that one is free, and it is already yours. So let me leave you with the thing I hope you actually carry out of here, because I mean every word of it. The habits that steal the most years from a woman after 60 are the quiet ones. Alcohol that hits your body harder than it hits anyone else's. Stress you carry for everyone but yourself. Connection that quietly thinned out. Sleep you were taught to give away. And stillness you never think twice about. Not a single one of them is dramatic, and every single one of them is yours to change, starting today, without asking permission from anyone. If you made it all the way to the end of this, you are already the kind of woman who takes her own healthy years seriously, and that alone puts you ahead of most. So pick the one habit that landed hardest, and change that one thing this week. Just the one. Do it for yourself. For once, the way you have always done everything for everyone else. You stand up, and your body starts to come back, and every good year in front of you begins with a decision that's small. Next time, I am going to walk you through the 3 numbers your doctor checks but almost never explains, the ones that quietly tell you more about your next 10 years than anything else on your chart. Because knowing what those numbers really mean is how you stop being a passenger in your own health and start being the one holding the map.